Hey everybody, thanks for coming back. I'm going to show you how I made this 3D-ish thematic animated map based on a table called Save the Bees about the possible decline of the honeybee. Does this map show anything or enlighten us at all about the decline of the honeybee? I don't think so. However, this video is full of fun tools, techniques, and the table has a lot of data, so feel free to dig in and see if you can come up with some better data. This is Carto-Madness. Get out of here. Okay, as with all projects, we'll start by adding data. In this case, we added world imagery from the bottomless pit of cool data known as the Living Atlas. So we'll also add USA states, which we have used a bunch if you watch this channel. And once we have that in there, we're going ahead and export those features to our own geodatabase so we can do with it what we will. So that's a good one, and we'll choose a very original name called states. And everything looks good, so okay, and now we have that for ourselves. And at this point we can go ahead and right click and delete it because we don't need that piece from the Living Atlas. Next we'll go to our friends at Kaggle, and they have a great database called Save the Bees. And here is all the metadata for all the columns in there that we're going to use, I think one or two, but you can use all of them that you want to get better results. So we'll download that, and once we download it, we'll put it in our map. Now this is a CSV file, and they're kind of hard to work with, so let's go ahead and export it to our geodatabase, which will make it much easier to use. So let's go ahead and get that same geodatabase and call it B data. And once it's there, we can go ahead and get rid of that original CSV file and do some housekeeping because I'm easily confused and I can only keep the data that I need. So now let's open that up, and sure enough, here's all our columns. Now this table is given to us in quarters per year, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a little more granular than I want for this project, so we're going to have to go ahead and summarize these. Let's go ahead and open up our analysis tools and look for summary statistics. Let me type in it right here, summary, and here it is, summary statistics. And so our input table is our B data. Our output table will be, let's put it in the same database, and we can call that, that's what we should call it, like B data summary. Okay, so we'll do that, and we want to summarize the field of number of colonies, and we'll take a mean of those colonies, and we'll mean it by state and year. And once we do that, it runs pretty quickly. And we can look at it quickly, and we have Alabama, for instance. We have frequency of 4, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters, and by year, and by mean number of colonies. Exactly what we wanted. Magically. So let's go over here. And we can do a join to that data now, to our states. And we use state name, and our join table will be our summary table. And state in there, and do a one-to-many join, one-to-many. And validate just to make sure, yep, everything looks good, and we'll say OK. Let's export this states feature class with the join data to a feature class of its own. So easily enough, we can export features and create a new name as original as all of the others. We can call that states with B data. And now we have that. One other thing we want to do, we want to export those few states, Nevada's and New Hampshire, I think, are obvious ones. So let's, the ones with no data. So let's go ahead and export those. Mean number of colonies is null, so we'll select them. Is null. There we go. And apply. Now we can export those as another separate feature class that we will deal with in just a little bit. And of course, we will name it null data states. All right, and now we can remove that. And here, see that these still exist in our states with B data, so we want to get rid of them. Easily enough, select them and delete them. Perfect. Okay, now it's time to symbolize. Now what we want to do is make these different shades of gray depending on our mean number of colonies, and then separate those by year. So let's start by just making, well, let's move our line, and we can make it a gradient stroke. And what we're doing is just making a little drop shadow. So let's change our color, and we'll make this completely transparent black on this end and completely opaque black on the other. And we'll say OK. So now we have to actually add a move effect. So let's do that now. And go around here, and we'll make our width, in this case, 1 for now. I don't know if we'll change that in a minute or not. Do our move effect of 2 and -2. That will be down and to the right. Yeah. Just like this. Okay. Yeah, see anything else we want to do here? Offset? I don't think so. We'll just make this accurate. And we'll go down here, and we can, let's see, we want like 3 of these. So let's copy it twice. And our second gradient stroke, we'll make that a little fatter, like the 3. 5. Let's make it 5. That's a little better. And then up here on our last one, we can make that 9. Yeah, let's make that 9. So now we have kind of a cool drop shadow. And so now let's add a definition query to this. First of all, let's separate out the 2015, because we have 2015 to 2022. So let's apply that. And then our mean number of colonies, previously determined to be, let's see, let's do less than 7750.01. We'll apply that. And now we can see that we have those states in 2015 that have very few colonies. So we can copy that. And let's go ahead and add to our definition query and say is greater than or equal to 7750. and our mean number of colonies is less than 14, 7, 15. Okay, yeah. And there's a little more colonies in those states. So now we can make copies. Now we want 5 different classifications. So let's make a total of 5 now. And our next one, we'll just go ahead and change this. To again, previously determined breaks in the data. That look good to me. And always do incremental saves along the way. And our next one. And you can, of course, determine whatever breaks look good to you. Okay, a few more. And our last one. I don't need that one since it's our last one, so it's totally greater than . $82,000. Okay, so now we have all our estates that actually have data, which looks really great. It's kind of coming along, huh? So now, I think what we have to do is we have to group all of these, and we'll call that group 2015. So now that's everything for 2015. I think you can start to see where we're going with this. And let's change our colors. So we want incremental shades of gray here. So we'll start here. And we'll say the ultimate black. Well, not exactly ultimate black. So let's change this value to like 7%. So it's just the slightest bit gray. And moving up, we can change all these to slightly lighter. All along the, here's, yeah. And one more. And we'll keep this one up here. So cool. Look at this. Now we have kind of a grayscale, 3D-ish kind of map. Pretty cool. Now this is where the magic really happens in this map. We are going to use a blend mode of overlay. Now what overlay does is it lightens or darkens the underlying map, in this case our world imagery, that corresponds with the lightness or darkness of the grayscale. So when we apply that, look how cool this is. It's kind of 3D-ish looking, but not really, but it is, kind of. Super cool. So that is, now we're almost there. Okay? So let's go ahead, and now we have to copy our 2015, and we call it 2016. And now all we have to do is go in here and look at, quickly change our year to 2016. Oops, did it change? That didn't change. Okay, 2016. And the same with the other corresponding separate feature classes. This is why we set it up like this earlier. Is we can just go ahead and quickly go through each one, because there's a bunch of them at this point between 2015 and 2022. And of course, incremental save for safety. And we'll continue 2016. And one more in this list. And now we have everything in 2015 and 16. You can see if we turn the 16 on, 15 on, you can see that they are definitely different. That's what we're looking for. Oh, okay, let's start one last thing here. Let's take care of these null data states. So Nevada, New Hampshire up here. So let's go ahead and get into the symbology. And we're just going to go ahead and, let's see. Let's go with make this a gradient fill. And change it quickly from this end. We'll go black and 20% transparent. Let's try that. 20. And on the other end, we're going to have white and 20% transparent. We add that. Go ahead and make it circular and continuous and a 100% here. And that should do it. And how's that look? That looks pretty good. Okay, you can definitely differentiate that between data states. So now let's turn all those off. And now we have to do one for every year from 2015 to 16. So let's go ahead and copy and paste a bunch of times, as many times as we need, which was 8, I believe, yeah, 15 to 16. And through the magic of editing, I will spare you all of the time it takes to do all this. And we're just going to do the same thing. And so once that's all done, we will make our layouts and maps and export it to an animation. Stay tuned.